All right, like I said, we kind of did a little distributive property yesterday, and I'm looking at this worksheet. I bet you anything you'll think this worksheet is easier than the distributive property stuff we did yesterday. Everybody's listening, right? Okay. Listening means you're not talking, so let's just go through something really quick. Let's just do letters. What if I said, oops, I always forget this. I say that every time too, don't I? So that, I think I would remember at this point. All right, let's see if that works. Why is it all? Okay, I guess that works. Let's do this. What if I said A times B plus C? Now, there's no numbers here. They're all letters. But this is how we show. When I first teach distributive property, if you've never seen it before, this is what I would do. Can you add the stuff inside the parentheses? We always look to do that, right? Can you add those two things together? No, because they're not like terms, okay? We can't add them together. But there is multiplication going on, though, isn't there? There's A times this stuff right here. In multiplication, do I have to only multiply like terms? No. I could take X and I could take Y and I could multiply them together. What is X times Y? XY, just like that, okay? So yeah, you can take unlike terms, multiply them together. You just can't add and subtract unlike terms, okay? So I can take this A and multiply by everything inside the parentheses. And this is how I show it. We did this yesterday, but I'll show it again. Take that A and we multiply it by the B. Most of the time, put a little arrow right there. Everybody see that? So I'm multiplying by everything in the parentheses. Multiply it by the B and also multiply it by what? The C. All right? So what's that going to be? What's A times B? Yep, very good. AB plus AC. Great. If you can do that, you can do stuff with numbers. All right? So let me just make one up. What if I had 3 parentheses X plus 2? And again, you don't even have to show any work. You just write down the answer. There's no work to show. So what do? We take that 3,
multiply by X,
which gives you 3X, and then you put the plus, okay, whatever the sign is, right? Put plus, and then the 3 times the 2, and that's 6, and then that's it. There's nothing you can do with that. You can't add those up. There's no like terms. Always look to see if there are like terms. Like the worksheet we did yesterday, you did some distributive property, right? On the numbers like what, 21 to 30? You did distributive property, but then there were like terms to add. I kind of doubt, I'm looking at this, I don't really see that happening here. That's why I said this, yeah, this worksheet's going to be easier than last one. I don't think there's any work to show on this worksheet, okay? That's all you do. You just write down the answer. All right? Let's do a couple from the worksheet. Let's do one with a negative. So we'll do this one. -6, A plus 8. Sometimes the negatives get us a little bit more confused, but we've already had worksheets. We've already talked about multiplying and adding and subtracting with negatives, so hopefully you remember that. Now, if it helps putting these little arrow things here, all right, feel free to do that, but eventually it shouldn't take you long to not need those. All right, so I'll do it for the first one. I'm not going to do it for the rest of them. So watch, I've got now, first of all, can I add the stuff inside the parentheses? No, they're not like terms. So I take the thing on the outside, the -6, multiply by this. So it's -6 times positive A. What's a negative times a positive? It's negative what? 6A. Very good. Now remember, this is still a negative, isn't it? Even though that says plus, it's a -6 times a positive 8. Again, negative times positive is? So what sign are we going to put here? Negative. All right? Now some people might put plus, negative, whatever. And that's okay, but not really. Don't put plus negative, all right? A plus and negative is what? If you have a positive times a negative, that's a what? That's a negative, isn't it? Okay, so this is just going to be minus, and then 6 times 8 is 48. Everybody see that? That is a potential spot right there where you could mess up. So I'm just trying to show you that so you don't mess up. That's the whole point. If you put plus, it's absolutely wrong. Sure. What if I gave you $48, right? Is that different than you giving me $48? For you?
You said no.
For you? What if I took $48 from you? Is that the same thing as if I gave you $48? Of course not. That's not same. It's completely different. All right? Would you agree with that? That's like a negative. That's like taking away 48 is the same thing as adding 48, is it? No, it's not the same thing. Okay, completely different. Absolutely completely different. So, would it be wrong if you put a plus? Yes. Now, if you just put a plus, that would be wrong. Now, if you put a plus what? A negative 48, that would be okay. I wouldn't mark it wrong. Okay, I wouldn't mark it wrong, but don't do that. All right, it just looks, it's too much. All right, so what do? What's a plus and negative? It's just a minus, right? Right? Minus and negatives is the same thing, right? Minus and negative. So this is the better way to write it. I would not mark it wrong on a quiz or a test if you put plus negative 48. But don't do that. All right, that's all I got to say. It just looks a lot better. You'll never see answers written like that. This is how you're going to see the answer written. We good? All right. Let's do another one. This one looks a little weirder. This one says 9x plus 10. And then, look what they do here. They put a little dot, and they put a 2. This time they put it on the right-hand side of the parentheses. But really, does that make any difference at all? No, it's still being multiplied by that. So what are we going to do? We're going to take that 2, multiply it by this, multiply it by this. And again, it doesn't matter really what order you multiply them in. So what is that? Let's do the first one. 2 times 9x. What's that? 18x. And then my sign? Plus. And then 2 times 10? It's 20. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Yeah.
So do we do the first one first?
Doesn't make any difference. Because I could have gone 2 times 10 first, right? And got a 20. And then 2 times 9x, which is what? 18x. Is this any different than this? No. It's not. Everybody with me on that? Okay. All right, let's do another one. Let's see if there's anything that's a little bit difficult. Man, you guys are going to have it easy on this one. Man, there's nothing any harder than what we've done so far. Well, there's this one. It's really basically what we did right here, except instead of the thing being on the outside as a positive number, it's going to be a negative number, right? Really, that shouldn't be that much harder. Yeah.
So even if you did flip it around, you wouldn't take my
Nope. This I would put on the quizzes and tests. If you get it right, I put check marks, okay? So, yeah, I'd put a check mark for that. I'd put a check mark for that, all right? It really does not make any difference at all. Now, as we go further and further, I mean, this is a geometry class. We're just doing an algebra review. But in algebra, as you go further and further, usually you would write it with the variable first, then the number, the constant at the end. But it doesn't make any difference unless they tell you. If they tell you, put it there. I don't even think we're going to do this in here at all. But in Algebra 1, you might have heard this. It said put it in descending order. Do you remember doing anything like that? Okay, well, descending order just means if you have variables, for instance, this would be descending order. So 3x to the 4th plus 2x cubed minus x squared plus 4x minus 1. Okay? That's descending order. Descending means goes from the highest to the what? To the lowest. So the highest what? The high, not the 3s, because look, there's a 4 over here. There's a 3 here. But the highest what? What are these? What are they called? What is it? Exponents. Very good. What's the exponent for just an x? It's a 1, isn't it? You follow me on that? So that's descending order. So the further you get into algebra, they'll want you to write it in descending order. So technically, this would be the descending order way. But as far as I'm concerned, on these worksheets, I don't care. Either way is perfectly fine. No, this won't be. No, I've said this is deeper. Remember I said this is later on in algebra. But this is a geometry class, okay? We're not going to go deep into Algebra 1. I'm just trying to do some foundational stuff that's going to help you with the geometry. I got heads down, I want heads up. Thank you. All right? Fight it. I know it's stuffy in here, believe me, and it's kind of dark, and I know that's not the most exciting thing in the world for you to do, but I still need your heads up. I appreciate it. All right? Let's do that one I was talking about, and then we'll quit. Well, I'll let you work on the homework. 1 plus 9x. Then they put a dot. Now, normally, they wouldn't do this. This is kind of a weird way to write it. Okay, normally, if you were going to write this and ask somebody to figure this out, this is how you would write it. You would put the negative 10 out in front, and then you'd probably go like 9x plus 1. These two things are exactly the same. Okay, they're going to give you the exact same answer. This just looks a little bit nicer. This looks more like you would see in an Algebra 1 book, but they just kind of change it up a little bit. It's the same thing. The negative 10 is being multiplied by all the stuff in the parentheses. All I did was switch the order in the parentheses. That doesn't make any difference. All right. So I'm going to take this. Let's just do it this way, though. That times this, and that times this. And there we go. So it's negative 10 times positive 1. What's negative 10 times positive 1? Negative 10. Okay. And you could put a plus, but I know that there's a negative here. So what's a negative times a positive? It's a negative or a minus, correct? So I'll put a minus here. And 10 times 9x. 90x. And we got the negative. Okay, the negative's already there. That's the minus. Okay, that takes care of the negative. Everybody with me on that? Because I had kids before say, Mr. Hammerman, that's not negative, it's a minus. Well, a negative is a minus. All right? So it's the same thing. I could have put plus negative, but remember earlier said we don't do that. All right, so just put negative 10 minus 90. What if you did it this way? What would that be? That's negative 90. What's this? Minus 10. Is this and this the same exact thing?
No.
Well, it's not exactly the same because it's a different order, but is the... Oh, I forgot the x. There you go. You got me. So you were right. Now, are they the same thing? Yes, very good. Good catch. I didn't do that on purpose. I just forgot the x. So, they are the same thing. So this answer and this answer are exactly the same as far as I'm concerned, and you're good to go. All right? All right, this is worksheet, what is it? 6. Worksheet 6. So this is the last one that's going to be on the quiz. What does the quiz cover? Worksheets 1 through 6. Hopefully you didn't throw those away, because guess where I'm getting the problems for the quiz? From those worksheets. Exactly. I'm telling you right now. Okay, exactly from those worksheets. All right, let me pass the worksheets to you, and then I'll let you get started on it.